Hey guys, welcome to Collider Movie Talk for movie fans. I'm your host, Ashley Mova, and this is The Daily Show, where we give you all the latest news from the world of movies, plus some insight into what it all means. Leading off the show today is Ken Napzok. That's it?
I'm so excited to be here. No, guys, hey, it's a good time here. We are going to be here having some fun like we were yesterday. Just so you're aware, Mark Ellis, oh, baby carrots with those big blue eyes. He has blue eyes, right, Mark? I think so.
Sure.
He is, I don't stare into him often. He is in New York with the rest of the Collider crew, and this is going to be another fun edition of Movie Talk, where we kind of break the rules.
Yeah.
We're going to dig into some fun stuff here today, right, Ashley?
Yeah, also here, Mark Reilly.
That's right. We're throwing cherry bombs and toilets while the teacher's away and the substitute teacher's here. This is awesome. That bathroom out there, not working.
It's getting crazy over here.
It's crazy over here. Sorry, everyone.
Also here, Jeremy Jahns.
It does kind of have that era of the substitute teacher. I remember in high school, I convinced a substitute teacher to let us watch Happy Gilmore because it was in my psychology class.
Go
and
to
I
your
was like,
happy place,
we
man."
were totally going to watch it because it's a lesson on anger management, and we watched it, and the teacher was pissed.
Well, I
Very
mean,
persuasive.
there's some valuable lessons in that. You know, there's valuable lessons to learn in movies. Like, what do the orcs represent to you guys in Lord of the Rings? You know, stuff like that.
right.
We can ask those kind of questions.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ashley, if we're ready to begin, let's
That
do
we
it.
are. Deadline is reporting that a Titanic reunion is in the works as Kate Winslet has signed on to James Cameron's Avatar universe that has recently started principal photography for back-to-back movies to be released in Avatar 2 and 3. Winslet will play a character by the name of Ronal with no word on if it's a mocap Navi character or human character. Speaking about the team-up, Cameron released a statement saying, "Kate and I have been looking for something to do together for 20 years since our collaboration on Titanic, which was one of the most rewarding of my career. I can't wait to see her bring the character of Ronal to life." Ken, does this Titanic reunion of Kate Winslet and James Cameron make you more excited for the 4 planned Avatar sequels?
Absolutely not. But here's the thing. I'm a big fan of Kate Winslet. I just think she's a spectacular actress, a dynamic person. I love her interviews. I love her approach to life. And I don't have a problem with James Cameron. I'm not one of those. His recent comments put him in some hot water, understandably and rightfully so. But overall, I don't have a problem with James. This is a guy who writes some big hits, man. Writes some pop songs, and that's okay. And I saw Titanic twice in the theater, all right? Twice in the theater, Ashley, I saw Titanic. So I'm all on board, but this reunion, this isn't the project I'd want them to reunite on. I didn't take in Avatar, just didn't do anything for me. I box office wise, it's understandable that they're going to move forward with this, but committing to 5 films, this whole situation just is different. It's not weird, it's just different. I think it's good to have Kate there. That's not a bad thing when she's part of your cast. I just no excitement for me here, Jeremy.
I think it's a case of it's some good credibility for his Avatar movie because he keeps saying like I'm totally doing that Avatar movie. Don't worry, you're gonna find out more about that, and we've heard that for about a decade now. So the fact that Kate Winslet's in it, that interests me. I'm interested in Titanic because I like Titanic. I see the gripes of it. It's like an old story, but when it was written, it wasn't as old as it was when it was filmed. So I think this new string of, I don't think you have to do 5 Avatar movies. We've all talked about that before on Movie Talk, but I think I like the fact that Kate Winslet is coming back. I love the fact that James Cameron was like, we've been looking for a project to do for 20 years. I've done 1 movie in between that, but I'm like, we've been totally looking for a project. It's like he's done 1 film. So basically that's him saying, I wanted to work with her on Titanic, and now I get to work with her on the sequels. It's grammatically what it means, you know? So I find that fascinating.
Reilly?
That is so true. It's like I just picture him going, "Hey, you want to go check out the sunken Titanic when I take my sub down for like 20 miles and in this pressurized cabin? You want to work on that with me again?" She's like, "No, I'm good. I actually got to go do something else." Look, what James Cameron does so well is he makes a good movie. He pushes the boundaries of effects. He does all these things. But Avatar, like you said, Ken, I'm not crazy about the movie, and I think it's too late. But will I think that it's enhanced with Kate Winslet? Sure. I'm excited that she's going to be in it. I love Kate Winslet. She's a fantastic actress. The Wonder Wheel trailer just came out today, the new Woody Allen movie, and I watched that and I went, Kate Winslet is just always bringing her A game. So great. I just wish I was more excited for Avatar as well. I really have no desire to see a sequel. Now, my opinion might have changed if 5 years later, like, we're getting another Avatar sequel. It is so far behind me that it was on TV the other day, and I'm like, there's Avatar.
What is this, 11 years now have passed roughly here since this? Look, again,
and 5 years is pushing it for me when I say 5 years.
Yeah, Kate Winslet is a win. Like I said, the cast. Mova, you jump in here. Avatar. Anything about that or this make you excited?
I mean, I really love Titanic. I love Kate Winslet. One of my earliest memories as a kid was going to see Titanic with my parents and my mom covering my eyes when Kate Winslet was being painted naked, and I was just thinking, what's going on?
You know what? My mom did the same thing, and I was 22.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's good parenting right there. But I just don't care about an Avatar sequel.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less about Avatar, so I like Kate Winslet, but I just don't care about this sequel.
What is the malaise, guys? What is the malaise about Avatar? What is, because it did well. We know it did well. It was technologically ahead of its time. It was groundbreaking in a lot of ways. I understand the story was Ferngully. Jokes aside, why is this malaise towards more of these movies? Jeremy?
Well, here's my take. I liked Avatar when it came out, and I watched Avatar recently, and I like it recently. So I think any Venom thrown its way is because Avatar is the highest-grossing movie of all time, and when something is top, you have to shit on it. It's like the American way. It's like the internet dream. They're like, that made a lot of money. Force Awakens is great. Force Awakens made a lot of money. Well, screw the Force Awakens. You know? So I just think that's the internet way.
It's like, hey, Return of the King won an Oscar. Let's tear down the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Right. You know what I mean? Let's do that. Mark?
I get it. Yeah, I'm trying to pinpoint it as well. I don't know if it's a little bit, like I said before, where it's just too little too late, that we've forgotten about it in time. I mean, the movie is fun to watch. I'll give the original Avatar that. The effects are great. It still holds up. I mean, on TV, you kind of go, yeah, the effects maybe are a little dated, but not really. I'm trying to figure it out as well. It's a story that hasn't stuck with me since the day I saw it. I mean, I saw it maybe once in the theaters and again on home video, and then I caught it on FX the other night. So and just a scene. So there's something that's not sticking with me, like his Aliens or Terminator, Terminator 2, or even The Abyss or True Lies. These are movies that are just so wholly original to me that did something very fun and action-packed. But Avatar is like, sure, the jokes are there. Ferngully for adults. Yeah. I mean, I still think the story is fairly decent, but again, I am trying to pinpoint why is it that is it because it's the most successful movie of all time, so we want to kind of tear it down a bit. That's not me. I just am trying to again not connected as much as I have been to his other movies. But I did see a tweet where somebody was like, all you Avatar haters, you're going to go see this movie when it comes out. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
That's probably fine.
I am going to go see this movie. But that doesn't mean that I can't say, I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if I want it now. I will eat my words. If I go see Avatar 2 and go, oh, okay, he created something totally different now. Now he's set forth 4 movies that I need to see back to back to back to back because he's telling a very new, wholly original story. Great. I'll eat my words then.
And that's where my mind goes, is that the main complaint of Avatar is that, all right, we've seen the story 100 times before, whether it's Ferngully, whether it's Dances with Wolves or Last Samurai, which is funny because Last Samurai got more of a slide than Avatar did, probably because Last Samurai made less money than Avatar did. But now going forward, if you can bring all the James Cameron magic of Avatar with an original story, that I'm very sure he's not going to do the same thing. There's not going to be a guy who's like, oh, this civilization, I'm going to kind of infiltrate. Oh, wait, maybe I'm kind of like getting soft on him. It's going to be a new movie. So if you can bring that Avatar magic with a whole new original story, I feel like that right there innately would make even the strongest haters be like, well, I'm interested. I'm just like at least slightly interested. I just want to know it's actually happening because I've heard it's happening for 10 years.
Right, right. Well, in the words of the late, great John McLaughlin Mova, next issue.
All right. THR reports that Jared Leto has signed on to play legendary Playboy founder and icon Hugh Hefner in the biopic about Hefner's life from producer-director Brett Ratner. The project now enters early development in a film Ratner has wanted to make since 2007 when it was initially set up at Universal Pictures with Robert Downey Jr. once attached to the role. No release date has been set. Reilly, what do you think about Jared Leto playing Hugh Hefner?
Yeah, I know we touched on this yesterday in a live Twitter question, but now we're able to get a lot more details here. And as far as Jared Leto playing Hugh Hefner, I like the idea. what was interesting to me reading the report is that at one point Robert Downey Jr. was attached. That to me is better casting. That was like, oh, and it was over at Imagine Entertainment, Ron Howard, Brian Grazer's company. That seems more of a prestigious biopic making movie company. With this, okay, we learned that Brett Ratner is the director. So he's going to be doing he's directing this. It's a passion project of his. I love the title that Collider.com put out when covering this was like, and we're going to keep it they promised to keep it classy. And it's like that kind of caveat that makes me laugh, where it's like you hear Brett Ratner and Jared Leto and Jeremy, like you brought up yesterday, with like him sending rats to people and him doing his method acting thing. This sounds just kind of sleazy. I'm going to say it. It sounds sleazy. It's like, one, we just lost Hugh Hefner. And then all of a sudden we have Jared Leto, and they're doing the story like, oh, Brett Ratner wanted Leto to meet him, Hugh Hefner, but then he was too frail, he was too sick, and so I don't know. And I hear all these Hollywood stories with Brett Ratner. It's just like, I don't know. I do want a classy movie about Hugh Hefner, but at the same point, I know his passing did bring up a hot button topic of, was he progressive? Was he for women's rights? Was he just exploiting them? And I would love to see that explored in a movie. I don't see Brett Ratner as the guy to do it. I see a different director, but I'd like to hear some of the thoughts here. What do you guys think?
I would too, Jeremy.
Well, here's the good news. We're getting 2 Jungle Books. We got 2 Steve Jobs movies. Just because this is happening doesn't mean another Hugh Hefner movie can't happen. So, but I agree with you. I was watching Requiem for a Dream last week or a couple weeks ago. I forget, because you literally hit a time warp in your head where you're in the fetal position for about 3 days, so you lose time by the end of that movie. But I was watching, and Jared Leto was quite good in it, and I remember I was like, oh, this was before he did all the weird method tricks to, like, I mean, it's not like he was, sticking heroin needles in his arms for a month, like, I'm so method, he just, like, he acted, and that was enough. So the dude has it in him. He just somehow got it in his head that all these little method tricks are just the only way to do it. I don't think he needs that. We don't need that crazy wild story behind the scenes for this one. And I do have to look at Hollywood and just kind of, I don't know if I want to shake my head, because this was in production for a while, but it is like, the dude just died, It's like, and then like, we got to greenlight that biopic, because I mean, time's ticking. So it's just, I feel like that's just the Hollywood way.
It feels like a very carefully planned Hollywood announcement to kind of like put it out there right on the heels of this. But you're right. I know it was in development a while. It just seems, Brett Ratner just, I keep going to him. Not the guy I want to direct this thing.
Well, I mean, we could get another biopic.
Maybe.
Directed by someone else.
Yeah, it all comes, this Ratner as director thing is interesting. And I guess, for some reason, we naturally go, we hear biopic, we hear the story of Hugh Hefner, and we want this kind of moving deep bio where it could be Rush Hour 4, where it could be just some crazy night at the Playboy Mansion. But I think that's also because Jared Leto's involved, and I've been a fan since My So-Called Life, man. Jordan Catalano, come on, 1993. But yeah, and also the side conversation of Leto and method. I go to that Laurence Olivier quote to Dustin Hoffman of, "My dear boy, have you just tried acting?" I think I'm paraphrasing, but famous Hollywood quote. There's something about this that's just it's fallen flat right now. Probably like Hugh in the last 10 years of his life. Whoa! So I think that it's something about Ratner directing it. For someone else, I'd have more faith in the project, and it's an interesting story to tell. I don't know, Ashley, if you have any opinions on Hugh Hefner and what the empire he built. I don't know. What's your thoughts?
I mean, as you all know, I'm a huge fan of Jared Leto, and him being a method actor, I could think of quite a few people that would love to help out with his research for this role. I just think that it's a little bit, like, oh, we've been working on this since 2007. It's been in production for a while. It's like, what are the odds that he would just pass away and then you'd announce this? I think it's a little bit too soon, I think, honestly. But I do like Jared Leto in the role, I must say.
Yeah, Jordan Catalano for life, right?
Exactly.
All right, we reached a segment in the show we call I can't talk right now.
It's by ourselves.
It's because our bathroom is broken and it's been a tough morning here for me and Mark Reilly.
It's in the hallway.
Old men and our problems. We reached the point of the show called Buy or Sell. It's pretty simple. We're going to put a news story up there and we're going to pull out real money and offer to buy or sell it. The loser has to pay Ashley, all right?
Do I get to keep it?
It's
I
a
get to
new
keep the
version.
money.
Yeah, you get to keep. It's a new version. It's actual buy or sell. No?
I have $3 in
No,
my wallet.
Yeah, I got a buck.
I don't. Maybe we'll work on it and debut that
$4
tomorrow.
richer already.
Yeah, Ashley,
Right.
get us going.
According to Deadline, the long in development Maleficent 2 is finally back on track. The trade reports that Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales co-director Joachim Rønning is in talks to direct the sequel with Angelina Jolie on board to reprise her role. The original made $241.4 million domestic with lukewarm reviews, but crushed it overseas where the pick took in over $517 million. Disney put a sequel into development immediately, but the combination of Angelina Jolie's busy schedule and a focus on Disney's other live-action retellings delayed the movie until now. A release date hasn't been targeted at this time. Jeremy, buy or sell Joachim Rønning directing Maleficent 2?
My initial reaction was to sell it, or I could say, but I'd buy that for $1. Classic. But I do have $1 there. I don't know why it's there, but I was told to pull money out of my wallet. So now it's
a real
in the
game.
pool.
This is a real game today.
I sell this because I wasn't a fan of the new Pirates movie. Maleficent, although apparently it did well overseas, fell flat for a lot of people. I enjoyed Maleficent when I saw it. Then when you look at the longevity of it, it's like, yeah, I would have. Anytime they take a villain and turn them into a hero, I'd rather a Walter White spin where it's like I empathize with the villain, but they're still villains, rather than no, the villain's just a misunderstood good guy. So it's just I'm not excited for this. I'm not as excited as I would be for the Avatar sequels or a Hugh Hefner movie. And I wasn't excited for a Hugh Hefner movie under these logistics, so I'm going to sell this.
Non-excited kind of day.
Right.
I will sell this as well, which is kind of a shame because this to me is a role kind of made for Angelina Jolie. This is something she should be playing, and it's not that she did a bad job. And again, like I said, business-wise, it makes sense because overseas, that is just as important, if not more important nowadays than what we do here domestically with our box offices. So it makes sense, but there's a lot of things that add up. The Dead Men Tell No Tales, the malaise towards the first version of this, and there's also just been kind of, since then, better live-action retellings of Disney stories, so I will sell it. No money for you, though, Ashley. Mark?
Aww.
Yeah, sorry, Ashley, you're not getting any money.
Where are your $3?
Yeah, they're
$3.
going to stay in my pocket. I'm going to sell it. Who's giving me money? I'm going to sell this thing. For all the reasons that kind of brought up, Maleficent didn't really do much for me. I thought it was, okay, there's a movie. It was made. It happened. The reversal, like you said, Jeremy, of the villain and the ending happened. If I'm not going to spoil it for those of you that want to go out and see Maleficent, the ending was like, okay. So they spun it that way with Sleeping Beauty. Didn't do it for me. Pirates 5 didn't do it for me either, although they are very talented directors. Kon-Tiki is a very good movie, but it seems like we're getting it too late again. Like my point with Avatar. With this, we're getting it how many years after the original Maleficent? There are other Disney movies, live-action remakes or retellings that I'm looking forward to, like The Lion King, like Aladdin, like what else is coming out there? Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin. Those are the kind of movies that I'm looking at. And
A Wrinkle in Time, too.
Wrinkle in Time.
Kind of in the same...
Yeah, it's Disney. It's a Disney movie. And when you bring up a Walter White reference... My God, I'm with you. Storytelling-wise, make this an anti-hero, some good in her, but let's see some darkness here. But that's Disney's not going to let that happen. Yeah. We're going to get a happily ever after with Maleficent, and you're like, so you're telling me that woman who turned into a dragon in the original animated movie is going to walk away with a happy ending? That just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, it is. I noticed that was the route they were going when in the animated movie, she said she'll prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die. And it's like this die. And you're like, oh my God, she's going to die. And in the movie, she's like, and she'll sleep. And it'll be a deep sleep. but sleep nonetheless. So there, you notice there, you're like, oh, come on. I don't know. I guess Disney animations back in the day had more grit, but I don't think we're looking at this at the mathematical way. Things aren't lining up. If you don't like the premise or the director, that's a negative and a negative, and a negative times a negative equals a positive. That's math. It might be good.
Dude, I failed math. All I do is talk Star Wars professionally. That's all I do. That's all the only skills I have. Stay in your lane, nerd. Movie Mova. You buying or selling this?
You know, I saw Maleficent in theaters, and it feels like it was so much longer ago than 2014 because I barely remember it. It just, you use the term lukewarm in the show notes, Reilly, and I think that that's so accurate how I feel about this movie. It's just like, meh, I don't really care. I think the best thing about it was Angelina Jolie's prosthetic cheekbones.
I mean, I'm looking into those too, so I understand. All right,
good,
next topic.
According to Variety, Jenny Slate is in negotiations to join Tom Hardy, Michelle Williams, and Riz Ahmed in Sony's Venom movie. Sources for the trade report that Slate will play a scientist in the movie, but not much else is known about her role or the plot at this time. Venom is set to hit theaters on October 5th, 2018. Reilly, buy or sell Jenny Slate in Venom?
All right, first buy. First buy here on Movie Talk today. I buy it. Even though I'm not too familiar with Jenny Slate's work, I've missed some of her work. I am familiar with her SNL stuff and know that she left. Now, you could say she was either fired because she cursed live on air, or she was, her contract ran up. I was trying to do a little bit of research on that. I'm going to go with the fact that she cursed. She dropped an F-bomb live on SNL, and anybody who does that gets a buy from me. I like it. Way to go, girl. But she's popping up in all these things. And then if you look at Michelle Williams being recently cast, and then Tom Hardy as Venom, and Riz Ahmed, who's rumored to be Carnage, this is shaping up to be a fantastic cast. Like one of the best cast superhero movies we've seen. Although we're kind of, I'm noticing a theme here. We got another anti-hero here, like we had with Maleficent. So I'm hoping that there's some darkness to this, some edge, that we don't know Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock, like what side he's on. It'll be interesting to see how Michelle Williams factors into that, who Riz Ahmed is playing, and then Jenny Slate, scientist, rumored to be a scientist. Sounds interesting. It makes sense. The symbiote suit, they might go less cosmic, more science-based for his symbiote suit. So all around, sounds good to me. I'm buying.
Yeah, I'll buy as well, simply because I like Jenny Slate's work. She did join an exclusive SNL group that includes the late Charles Rocket and Paul Schaefer dropping F-bombs. It was actually her first episode. She lasted the season. I think a contract not renewed situation, so a little column A, a little column B in terms of what happened over there. She was a featured player at the time. She's gone on to good things, including voicing Harley Quinn in the Lego Batman movie. Her star is rising. She has a lot of respect inside the industry for what she's doing. She's, I think, one of those performers on the rise, and this is that final step. It's not a big news story. It's not a big, bite. I get it. It could probably a supporting role in this Venom movie, but it's interesting and I love. I say it on Movie Talk. I love when people really start moving up, and she has been constantly moving up, and it's good to see that in a performer. Jeremy?
Yeah, I love I'm with Reilly on this one. We're talking about the hero anti-hero thing. Venom's definitely an anti-hero. I don't see Tom Hardy as the donating to Greenpeace kind of Venom. You know what I mean? Like I see him as the Venom who eats brains in back alleys for people who are trying to mug other people. So I'm hoping they go that route also. I mean, by implication, you look at the cast, I'm with you on that. It's a very well cast Marvel movie, and every casting choice and every bit of casting news, I'm more looking forward to. At first, I was like, how is that going to work without Spider-Man? And it's gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't really care. I feel like however they do it, they're going to do it. Right. I agree that if it is cosmic, I remember in the 90s animation, John Jameson went up to the moon and found a rock, and it got on his suit, and then that's how it got back to Earth. Maybe it's some sort of something where they're like, we were going to just put this on soldiers and it was going to make them better, and it just makes them a little crazy because it's a living thing. I don't know how they're going to do it. I was really excited when that movie Life might be a Venom prequel, and for the first half hour of that movie, you're like, it's completely possible that it could be a Venom movie. So Venom's more on my mind now. Jenny Slate, I'm with you, Reilly. Don't know much of her work outside. It just dawned on me. I was like, SNL, that's where I saw her from. And anyone who says the F word on air has a fucking buy from me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mova, you buying?
Yes, this is actually a huge, huge buy for me. Have you guys seen The Kroll Show before?
No.
Kroll is in
Nick Kroll.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nick Kroll.
She played this character in the Kroll show, this sketch called Publicity, where she played a Hollywood publicist, and she's absolutely hilarious in that show, and she was on SNL. And I recently think that she was in that movie with Chris Evans, Gifted, where I think she was trying to break out of that like comedic kind of role. But I hope in this movie that she brings like a comedic element, because I think she's effing hilarious. I almost said that for there.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have fired you.
Thank you.
Next one.
THR is reporting that Lucifer showrunner Joe Henderson has been hired to write a reboot of the 1986 kids sci-fi adventure Flight of the Navigator. The Jim Henson Company is also on board to produce the feature, which is now set up to be distributed by Lionsgate. The movie tells the story of a 12-year-old boy who is abducted by a UFO and reappears 8 years later at the exact same age with no memories of what happened. The movie now enters development with an official release date yet to be determined. Ooh, I just scrolled. Whoopsie daisy. Let's go back to the question. It was Ken.
You're fired, Ashley.
Ken, with a Flight of the Navigator reboot in the works, is Hollywood in the grips of nostalgia?
Yeah, that's not always a bad thing. I get why it happens. People in my age group, we grew up in those mighty toy-dominated 80s. That's our art, whether it's a good thing to say that or not. That's our pop culture. That's our art. So then we grow up and then we get these positions where we start making decisions on what should be put out there, TVs, movies, comics, and everything. And that's part of it. And then the audience is made up of us as well. And so I love Flight of the Navigator. Saw it in the theater. Like, if I had children, thank God I don't, I would say, let's go to the theater and see this movie, because it's a take. Now, whether or not it's a good idea to reboot everything, no, I don't necessarily agree with that. But is Hollywood in the grips of nostalgia? Absolutely yes, because it makes big money. Transformers is a great example. Whether Reilly rants on it or not, it's going to make a lot of money. All these movies, we tried with G.I. Joe. I talk often here, Robotech. I grew up with Robotech. And that movie, I'm a little trepidatious about it, but they just rebooted the comic. And it's fantastic. And I'm happy about that. Mask, there's a property out there called Mask. A couple years ago, I was working on a potential reboot pitch of Mask in an animated form. And guess what? The comics. They've rebooted Mask. That's something from my childhood. So there's a nostalgia grip across the board, because that is our art. That's what we grew up with, Jeremy.
Mask is awesome. All right.
Mobile Armored Strike Command with a K.
The best, I just remember the green motorcycle that would turn into the hovercraft, like the helicopter hovercraft was my favorite one, because you could take that thing everywhere. Is Hollywood in the grips of nostalgia? I agree with you. Absolutely they are. Does this need to be rebooted? I don't think so. For a reboot, I look at a movie that's like, you could really benefit from a reboot. The effects, maybe they were a little cheesy. Maybe I have nostalgia goggles on because I haven't seen Flight of the Navigator in a while, but I remember the animatronics being good. I remember the effects being good enough. Most of it takes place inside this ship, and when it's not in the ship, it's taking place in, the doctors are making phone calls, the parents are asking where their kid is. And so there's not a lot of, shots of the UFO. You could redo shots of the UFO if you really want to and just blend it all and release a Blu-ray. I don't think it needs to be remade. Now I'm wondering if they're going to get Paul Rubens back for the voice of... the
ship.
The ship. So, we'll see what happens. I don't think it needs to be remade, though.
It seems like there's different levels of nostalgia happening with these different movies. You can look at Flight of the Navigator and go, okay, it's one of those that's kind of a lesser-known property, whereas we remember it. I grew up with it. Yeah, it was the movie I was talking off air where it's like I was at camp and they're like, Saturday night, the movie Flight of the Navigator. I'm like, cool, we're gonna hang out and watch that. That's a fun movie. But then it doesn't really last with you like some of the movies that I really, really hold on to nostalgia-wise, like a Gremlins or a Ghostbusters or a Goonies or, the granddaddy of them all, Star Wars, which that's where I think the crux of the argument is, where Force Awakens, a lot of the detractors are saying it was too reliant on nostalgia and it was just a rehash of A New Hope, which I completely disagree with. There are new story elements in The Force Awakens. Did it rely a little bit on nostalgia? Yeah, it did. It brought back some of our favorites, but it was a bold storytelling element to put Luke Skywalker in the end and never have him speak. Never. That to me was bold. So that was nostalgia with a nice little spin to it. But then I look at everything else. We're getting Jamie Lee Curtis back for another Halloween and just ignoring the other things. So that's nostalgic a little bit. We got Linda Hamilton coming back for Terminator. That's a little bit nostalgic for me. They're relying on that, but the different levels, it's how you take it. How you, are you upset about Flight of the Navigator? I personally, do we need a remake? No, not necessarily. But if they do something different, if they show something, they update. I think the story is there. I think the story on paper is fascinating and worthy of a remake. But if you look at other properties that stick with me so much that are a sign of the times, like a Goonies or a Gremlins that captures that moment in time, we don't need to remake that or have a sequel to Goonies that they've been trying to do for however many years.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. By the way, I should say this is buy or sell. I buy the reboot. I'm okay with that. But you're right. You just brought up something good. There's things that seem to be untouchable. And there's a fine line sometimes. Goonies seems to be untouchable in terms of a remake or reboot.
Right.
The sequel, okay, but it's been so long and it seemed to work. But you mentioned like Gremlins, continuing that story versus rebooting it. There's obviously we learned there was a powder keg of emotions behind Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Talked about Star Wars. I will fight against the idea that that was a rehash. I know it had similar elements, but to fully understand that Star Wars story, you understand it's not just it was maybe a soft reboot at best in terms of reintroducing it to a new generation, but had a lot of different elements in that story. But there's Back to the Future. You got pitchforks if you're going to try to remake that one. Jeremy, where does this line? If I say to you, we're going to reboot Last Starfighter or remake it, where are you going to be on that?
No, Last Starfighter, I'd probably be okay with a Last Starfighter remake or reboot. It's funny because at that point, it's different for every person. Yeah. There's a bit of is it a cultural icon and is it a personal icon for you? Like, for me, if you can watch the movie, or if you hear a song from the movie, and anytime you hear that song outside the movie, you think of that, like I Get Around by the Beach Boys, I permanently think of Flight of the Navigator. Anytime I hear I Get Around by the Beach Boys.
For you, the line between classic and be able to remake it is the soundtrack.
Yes. Well, I'm a big music person, but no, like Back to the Future, I feel like there is something you can do with alternate realities where if you try to reboot it, it's this different story, and somehow in the course of this new movie, they negated everything that Marty McFly did, so this new person has to ultimately go back and cease to exist. You know what I mean?
Like, at least something different.
Yeah, it has to definitely be something different, and it's
You're scaring me with this Back to the Future talk.
No, I'm not saying it. Yeah.
That's just stop putting story elements out there. We got to leave that one alone.
Someone's like, when Jahns talks, that will never be a phrase a studio exec ever says.
Right.
There is definitely I don't even know how to quantify the mathematical property of what is untouchable, but I do know Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Back to the Future. It's like if it happened from the 70s, no, not 70s, 80s. Yeah. It's like the 80s and we'll say late 70s for Star Wars. Somewhere in there, if it's somewhere in that 12 or 13-year time frame, you can't touch it. Anything from the 90s can probably be rebooted. Anything before Star Wars can probably be rebooted. There's this Goldilocks zone in there that you can't touch.
It's interesting because, Ashley, let's say this. Let's say someone said, we're going to reboot Mean Girls. Where would you come down on that?
Oh, my God. Well, when you compare it to that, that's rough. I hate the idea of that, but I was thinking about the story. It's like, I have no idea what this is. I've never even heard of it.
Flight of the Navigator?
Flight of the Hoo-Ha? Like, I don't even know.
No, it's definitely not a hoo-ha.
I don't even know what this is at all. This sounds like...
Doesn't take flight either.
I have no idea what this is, and it sounds like an episode of American Horror Story to me.
That it could be Colt. But that's an interesting point too, because depending on what you saw, where your influences or interests were growing up, this might be a completely new project that you might be. Oh, a little 12-year-old boy flies a spaceship around saving the galaxy or something. That sounds interesting. So it's again perceptive and perception and perspective. Jeremy, those are the P words I'm trying to use here.
Yep.
Perception is reality.
So is Hollywood in the grips of nostalgia? Yes. The final answer is yes. All right. We are going to be taking at the end of the show some of your live questions via Twitter. Ashley is looking at those right now, so we'll gather some of those. We want to talk about some things going on here on Collider Video. Don't forget Wonder Woman. We have a commentary. It's now up. It is a lot of fun sitting with your friends, watching Wonder Woman, making comments, getting insight. You can check that out on Collider Video. Also, most of the crew, the reason I'm in charge here today, the reason I'm the captain now, Mark Ellis and a lot of your Collider favorites, including Perry Nemiroff and John Roca, and David Griffin are out there in New York for New York Comic Con, and we got some good stuff going on. We got a Heroes Live panel. That is Friday, 12:15 to 1:15 in room 1A24. You got to love those convention rooms. 1AC, FF, to the left, go 1. Also, Saturday, we got Movie Talk, 4:15 to 5:15 in room 1A21. That is the live Movie Talk panel. And then meet and greet action Thursday night at McSwiggin's, 2nd Avenue. Go and have a drink or just hang out. You don't need to drink. Drink responsibly. Enjoy Collider responsibly. Go out and meet our folks out there in person. Heroes is on Collider Video later today and every day this week. TV Talk is off because Josh Bakuga is on a well-earned honeymoon out there, and the TV Talk crew, most of them are out in New York. Schmodown stuff. We had the big match yesterday. You can still watch if you haven't seen it, between Little Evil JTE and Drew McWeeny, the Godfather. Big match there. And today, because of the Comic-Con schedule, Schmodown, we got a Schmodown today. Sam Levine and William the Beast Bibbiani. A great match, I'm sure, on the way. Check that out. Drops today around 2 o'clock. And our little friend Jeremy Jahns. Got a show called Awesome-tacular, and we had an episode drop last Friday, and a link is in the show notes. It's Awesome-tacular, buddy.
Oh, it's all. I fist bumped you. I don't know if that's what you were going for.
I was doing the punch. Got that John's
he's
punch
still
down.
falling.
Okay. Slow-mo.
He's still falling.
All right. Well, right now we got Mailbag. Ashley, what are our fans asking us in the Mailbag?
Brian writes, with the unfortunate and sad passing of Tom Petty, it got me thinking, out of all the recently deceased musicians, Petty, Prince, Bowie, etc., which would you most rather see a movie made about their life?
Look, I'm a music guy. I was a former morning DJ, a rock DJ, was a music journalist for about 4 or 5 years. Love music. You mentioned music guy. I love this stuff. Tom Petty, one of my favorites. Wildflowers, check that album out in 1994. Solo Affair. If you haven't, it's the best work in my mind. I think that's a great documentary. I don't know if it makes a biopic type of situation. Bowie's great as well, but Prince, man, you hear those stories from Kevin Smith and all those people. He had an interesting kind of outside-the-box life. That would be the story I want to see.
Yeah, most people who become artists have enough pain to have an interesting life to make for an interesting movie, you know? Right. So, I mean, have we gotten a proper Beatles pick? We've gotten a Doors.
I love Backbeat.
Backbeat,
but that touches just on their Hamburg days.
Yeah.
It's tough to...
Right.
Tough to Hard Day's Night and Help might be the best,
Right.
or actually The Ruddles was the best Beatles movie according to George Harrison, which is a great parody. So yeah, you're right though.
Yeah, and then John Cusack was in that one about Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys.
Was it Love and Mercy?
I'm horrible with titles.
Yeah.
Love music, horrible with titles.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say it was Love and Mercy. So I mean, there's a lot. I'd like to see. Gene Simmons is a remarkably smart businessman for his Kiss persona. I'd love to see that. I mean, there's just anything from the 60s through the 80s, like there are a myriad of artists in there that, I mean, too many to rattle off.
Right.
That I would love to see how they were like, oh yeah, like anything with the British invasion, how that, I mean, there's
Give me a
so
good Dave Clark
there.
5 movie, right?
Give me the Dave Clark 5. Give me Fleetwood Mac right now.
Oh no, you give me a movie of Fleetwood Mac during the recording of Rumors.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take an HBO 10-part series. That would be fascinating. The documentary is fascinating enough, but you could dramatize that pretty easily. That's a good one.
Yeah,
we got a John's Go picture. Hollywood, are you listening?
Yeah, they're like, John said no studio exec ever.
Mark Reilly?
Out of these choices, I would go with David Bowie biopic because of what an incredible not only career but life. And there's a lot of things in Bowie's life that are just fascinating to me that can be explored by a fantastic biopic with a fantastic director and a fantastic actor. I mean, Bowie had some conversations both personally and in interviews regarding his sexuality and famously saying that he was bisexual and then saying that was the biggest mistake of my life to say that. And what that did for his image, that's a fascinating story point. Then if you look at some of the other things he did, his collaboration with Mick Jagger in that Dancing in the Streets, ridiculous video. Wouldn't it be fun to see the making of that and what it's like for two titans of music to meet and who would play Mick Jagger? Then Labyrinth, what he did in Labyrinth and like see some behind-the-scenes stuff of him getting Labyrinth, reading the script, deciding to do this, to become a cult classic. These are so many things that you could touch on in a movie about his life that out of the three, yes, we're talking about the unfortunate passing of Tom Petty, but when you look at David Bowie, that one sucked for me, where I was like, my God, that was a big one for me. His music, his legacy, what he did in film, that's ripe for a biopic, in my opinion.
Ashley, favorite musical artist, Pitbull or Macklemore?
Drake.
Okay, that's close.
Do you guys want to go into the live Twitter questions, or should I answer the
your
question?
answer.
No,
I
want
was
your
going
answer.
to say Prince, but then after hearing your spiel there, Reilly, you made me teeter because especially Labyrinth scared the hell out of me
Right?
as a kid.
Those
I don't-
fireys.
It
Those
was
fireys,
so
they're
scary.
taking their heads
That
behind the scenes
scarred
of that,
my
like,
memory.
It's like we're on set of Labyrinth, and Bowie's getting dressed, and he's got the thing, and
The
it's like,
thing!
yeah, and he's
Oh
just
my
like, yeah, do I do it like this? No,
Oh
it's like,
my God.
And the fact that he didn't wear a dance belt.
yeah, he did not. He did not wear a dance belt.
The bulge. The bulge.
Oh man.
What was that like? Is there a conversation?
Yeah,
You know,
Bowie is
we're
the
going
winner
there.
here. All right, we got time for about 3 or 4 Twitter questions. Let's hit it.
Okay, Joe Buffett writes, Ashley brought up Saw on yesterday's movie talk, and it has my favorite twist ending to a movie. What's yours?
Ooh.
Ooh. I think-
Yeah. Sometimes to say this movie has a twist is a spoiler, so I'm always a little apprehensive.
Yeah.
Saw has a really good one. Usual Suspects is a good one.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert.
I love
Whole
it.
thing is
Thank
a
you,
spoiler.
Cody.
Yeah,
Thanks,
this whole
Cody.
thing's just gonna,
Thanks,
this
Cody.
whole thing's just gonna
Yeah,
kill.
don't want to get
Favorite
yelled at
twist
for
ending?
the spoiling Jurassic Park.
What's
Those who are at the Collider meet and greet know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to not choose some of the all-time. Like, I'm sorry, it's a punchline now, but at the time, The Sixth Sense was
Absolutely.
that biggest twist. It's one
It
of those
was
things that
huge.
it's of its time and of its generation. If you were in that theater, some people snuffed it out and figured it out early on. I was not one of those people.
Right.
Yeah.
So the second time, and again, it's become this joke, and Shyamalan's his career's gone up and down, and thankfully he's back up again. But yeah, I still choose that because I was in the theater just, no way.
You know what? Early Shyamalan is
Yeah.
absolutely where you go with this. I mean,
Yeah.
Sixth Sense, and then you have Unbreakable also,
Yeah.
which also had a really good one. So I
Okay.
mean,
Sometimes the answer is the answer,
You know, a bunch jumped to mind that you mentioned already. Usual Suspects is one of those times in the theater where I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And it hit me so well in such a fantastic way that Bryan Singer he had me in the palm of his hands with that movie. So that's a good one. Fight Club sticks out to me.
yeah, that's a good
Fight
one.
Club's a great one to revisit the twist on that, and then you go back and you start to pinpoint where Fincher was showing his hand, where he's like, "This is where it is. This is where it is. This is where it is." Of course, there's Empire Strikes Back, which is the greatest twist in movie history, which I love, of course, but I think I was too young at the time to really know the how it landed.
Yeah, you didn't experience it,
And
yeah.
not much of a twist, but something that just changed the game and was so powerful to me was the ending of Godfather 2. I know it's not a twist, but it's something you never thought the character would do. But when Michael Corleone decides to do spoiler alerts up there, I'm not doing it. But what Michael Corleone decides to do at the end of Godfather 2 is one of the greatest character choices, one of the most tragic character choices. Godfather 2 is up there for me
Is
as
the
well.
choice to make Godfather 3, is that the bad twist in the end? That's the one? Okay.
You know
Well
what's
played, Kenny.
You know what's funny is even like some of the comic book movies out there, like Batman Begins.
Yeah.
At the end, when Ra's al Ghul turns around, he's like, "You're not him. I watched him die." And then Liam Neeson starts talking. I was like, "Get the fuck out
Yeah.
of here!" It just for some odd reason. I just did not piece that together, and that was very well executed. Also, yeah, early Nolan had some great twists,
Yeah.
like some of his other movies that I
like
won't
the-
mention because I'm not going to take them from you.
Yeah, The Prestige is an example of
Well, that was the one I wasn't going to mention, but sure.
we're not giving it away. We're
Yeah,
not
you're
giving
right,
it away.
you're right.
We're not
Prestige
giving it
has
away.
a great one.
Which David Bowie was in. Biggest twist for you, Ashley? Mean
Well,
Girls not having
obviously-
a good proper sequel that's not straight to VHS?
Oh God, that was terrible. Obviously Saw would be one of my favorites, but going back to like a Shyamalama note, Split, which I guess wouldn't be really a twist, but the ending
A
could
reveal
be,
of sorts.
reveal.
Yeah,
Kind
it's
of.
a
That was
reveal.
good, though.
Yeah, and also Get Out. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Love that movie, and I mean, there's
Get Out,
kind of
yeah.
a twist in there, and
By the way, I saw the trailer for Jigsaw yesterday.
Yeah?
You're sick in the head.
okay, can I just say that Jigsaw is really taking Saw out of like what I love about Saw is that it was so small and it took place in one room, and they're making Jigsaw to be so like so big. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, if you're not a Saw fan, you just don't understand where I'm coming from.
Fair enough.
Am I sick in the head?
I don't want to see what's in the trunk of your
If you
car.
die tonight, just know it's not me.
Okay.
Oh my God! Here we go.
Not
it
a
was
threat,
Jigsaw.
not-
It was
it was
Jigsaw. It was the
Jigsaw.
one-armed man.
I want to play a game.
Hey, another good twist.
Another good. Hey, another. Yeah, Ace Ventura. Good twist. Good twist.
Next one.
Joseph Hines writes, do you think movies based on mobile games are possible? Candy Crush, Clash of Clans.
I mean, yes, they're possible, which is probably the bad thing. Though, Clash of Clans, you got a little Game of Thrones vibe in there, right? Sure, let's do it. Jeremy, go picture that.
Yeah, the only thing is it's still a video game movie based on mobile games, so I don't know if, nope, my stance on video game movies is clear. Mobile games, I just feel like is going to be a lesser version of that, so it's possible,
Sure.
and very likely it's going to happen, which is
mean,
more pain for me.
We all loved Angry Birds, right?
Yeah, Angry Birds was a good movie. I don't want to see mobile games as movies.
Yeah.
You know, I know they're in development, just like Tetris is in development, which you hear Tetris and you go home, Hollywood, you're drunk. I'm always a proponent for, hey, is there like a screenplay out there that is completely original? You know, look at Get Out. Get Out is a great example of really, really different original storytelling, great twists, great directing, all these different things, great commentary on society, and that's an original thing. Why do we have to make Candy Crush the game? I just think we saw with Angry Birds, which is arguably the biggest mobile game we've had. I mean, there was a craze with Angry Birds, and it came out, and it's getting a sequel, I know that, but it didn't, like, blow up, and people weren't like, oh my God, did you see Angry Birds? What a twist at the end.
Right.
No, there was no twist at the end. It was just like, here it is, funny, great, see ya. So I don't need it.
I get it. Let's do two more. We'll answer fast. We got two more in us.
Okay. Rocky Drago 66 writes, what actors in 2017 have lost some credibility? I say Scarlett Johansson after Ghost in the Shell and Rough Night.
Lost credibility.
I don't write off credibility from a couple of bad choices. Like I hate the fact that in Hollywood it's like this person has so much credibility or star power and they do a bad project maybe too, and it's like, not anymore. It's like it doesn't negate what they've done. You know what they can do. They just need to make better choices. So I would say no one's really lost credibility if they had credibility because of something they may have done in 2017 for a picture choice.
Yeah, it's a fair question in the sense that, like, I think star power can be lost. I'm looking at Tom Cruise behind you. He's never lost star power, but let's not forget he made some stuff that people were like, Jack Reacher the first, I kind of like, was Tom Cruise just doing the same thing again? And then he, quote, comes back with, say, Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation, and then people are like, oh, that's right, I like Tom Cruise. That kind of ebb and flow does happen.
Right.
Scarlett Johansson maybe took a hit, not her fault with the casting, so to speak. It was a role she wanted to try. I get it, but yeah, I'm with you too. It's tough to say credibility on screen. Off screen, maybe you can lose credibility with some of the things you do or say, but on screen, I try not to do that. Reilly?
Yeah.
So why don't you sling some dirt for us, Reilly?
Yeah, no, I can't. I mean, I'm with you guys. What's losing credibility? You brought up the perfect example, Tom Cruise. All the reviews that came out for American Made were like, he made good on that Mummy movie by making American Made. And I'm like, the Mummy movie was just a Universal tram ride, when you stop for the stunt show and then you keep moving on to Jaws. That movie sucked. It just was awful. And it didn't know what it wanted to be. And Tom Cruise was like, he was in it. And he had his opinions on it. But then American Made comes out and everybody's like, he's back. And it's I don't like that kind of spin on it. I mean, you talk about actors that have lost their credibility. It's Randy Quaid on Twitter right now.
Yeah,
that guy's lost his mind, and you're watching it going.
That's a credibility loss.
Yeah, you're watching him, and you're like, what happened to Cousin Eddie from Vacation? Where is he?
Faux sex in a cornfield with a beer down to your ankles. You lose some credibility.
That's credibility out the window right there, folks.
That might be it. Mova, serious question. Have you ever fallen asleep on the Universal tram ride?
I might have. Looking back on it, I might have.
That's where I take my naps.
Oh, yeah. It's a comfortable
Put your
spot.
hat down.
You get to the 3 points set with all the Western sets.
With the fire coming up. It makes it warm. It makes me sleepy.
Yeah.
I know what you guys are saying with the losing credibility and stuff, but would you guys say Zac Efron? Because I feel like he was on a steady rise up, but then after Baywatch, I was like, this guy's not funny.
He's going to be Bundy, though. and I'm really holding out
Oh,
for him
that's
because
right.
I
You
want
just
him
beat
to.
me.
I
I was
forgot
gonna
about
say.
I want him to crush his Bundy.
Yeah.
Well, that's an insightful point because what you just brought up is The Rock as well.
Yeah.
Did The Rock lose credibility with that?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit in the sense of, oh, he is not perfect and not everything is his public, well-received hit. Efron, I mean, look at those abs. There's no credibility loss for me there. But it could be the start of a downfall. If the next Rock project has the same thing, if Jumanji falls flat, then that's when I think you start losing that star power. Maybe that's the phrase I like more than credibility because Randy Quaid's the credibility thing. Star power is that issue, and it's hard to have star power in Hollywood nowadays.
true. All right.
Final one, make it count.
Drake Frems, right? So what other director/actor combos should work together more?
Did you choose that one because it was Drake's friend?
Yeah, Drizzy Drake. He wrote it.
Drizzy Drake?
He wrapped it
That's
to
right.
us.
Right.
You mean like Leonardo, Martin Scorsese?
Yeah.
I mean, they're constantly working together. They just announced another movie, Roosevelt. So that's going to be interesting. More director. I mean, I personally, we're going to get Fincher and Brad Pitt again if this deal goes through with World War Z 2. So that's, I always like those combinations, but I'm at a loss. I mean, we got the Post coming up again with Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, so that's going to be interesting. Meryl Streep has she worked with Spielberg before because she's in that with Tom Hanks, and that's going to be interesting to see. But as far as like, oh man, how about another Harrison Ford Steven Spielberg movie? Is there something like that coming
Good
out?
answer, yeah.
I've heard something is happening. Yeah.
I'm going to grab my whip one more time.
That's not how archaeology works. Is that right? Is that what they said?
Yeah. He said exactly that. with
that
some
one?
of
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
we could all look at Indiana Jones and say, that's not how archaeology works. And we'd be right.
Yeah.
But archaeology is probably quite very informative and a lot more boring than Indiana Jones's life. But I'm more of a, I like directors and I'm a big music guy.
Yeah.
We've talked about this. So
You want
I
to
mean,
just go jam up the coast, put
Yeah,
a
let's
cassette
do it.
tape in, roll down the top?
all right, I'm glad that you said cassette tape, not play an instrument, because I play Pandora like a boss, but that's all I can play. But anytime there's Spielberg and John Williams, that's my. I mean, that's the. He's done what? All but one movie for his? Was Bridge of Spies or something like that? Or?
He didn't do Bridge of Spies, and Color Purple, but
Yeah.
he's also not going to do Ready Player One. He's doing The Post, and then Alan Silvestri's doing Ready Player One, which is a different. That felt weird.
Yeah,
I
that's
thought
something
maybe
else.
John Williams should do Ready Player One and establish some themes there. But then you see the DeLorean show up in the Ready Player One. You're like, we got Alan Silvestri back. We're gonna get a Back to the Future theme. I'm good there.
Okay, I'm looking at we're looking for like new combos.
Yeah, let's do. Just try a new
I
combo.
was a little
combos?
bit late to it. As I loved what Alex Garland did with Ex Machina. I only saw it recently. And I was kind of blown away by what was put forth in that movie. And Oscar Isaac, I'm such a fan of,
Yes.
and Gleason as well, Donald Gleason as well. But you give me Garland and Oscar Isaac kind of taking things outside the box again. I could watch Oscar Isaac work all day. I could watch him dance all day as well. So that would be something that. Now, as far as classics, Spielberg, Ford, come on, one more ride. Put that hat on.
Put the hat on,
Let's
yeah.
correct the last one. Let's do it. Let's get it.
There's no
let's get it
last
going.
one. I
All
don't
right,
know
and
what
of course,
Crystal Skull
you,
is.
it's Tina Fey and Rachel McAdams from Mean
No,
Girls
but
2.
close.
Okay.
Can we just forget Ghostbusters for 5 seconds?
Okay.
Paul Feig, Kristen Wiig.
Oh, yeah.
Totally.
Oh yeah, there we
Totally.
go. See on that note.
Absolutely. I mean, Kristen Wiig on the first episode of Last Man on Earth this
hilarious.
week was wonderful. But that's TV talk. That's another show. All right, that is it. Thank you guys for your live Twitter questions. We appreciate it here. We will be, correct me if I'm wrong, Reilly, not live tomorrow because our Comic-Con programming begins. We'll be live streaming some of the big panels. Our crew is out there in New York, and they're going to have those the Live Heroes panel again. Cody, throw it up one more time. I love throwing
There
Cody
is.
some wrinkles. These are if you're in New York, if you're going to New York Comic-Con, this is where you want to be. The meet and greet is Thursday night. The Heroes Live panel. Movie Talk Live. You get to meet Mark Ellis in person. Let me tell you, when I get my opportunities to meet Mark, he charges me $20 an appearance. It is fun to hang out with Mark Ellis. So that's what's going on. But we will be here tomorrow and Friday, just a little bit later in the day, because we got to make room for some programming live on Collider Video. Guys, it's It's a lot of fun. This has been fun.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
When the cat's away, the mice come out
That's
to play.
right.
I can tell you that
Ants.
much.
You
There's
mean
no
the
teacher
ants.
here. Mark Reilly, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This has been fun. You can find me at Reilly Around on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, check out the live streaming. This is a big thing happening with Collider at New York Comic Con. It's going to be awesome. Support those guys out there working hard. I'm going to do the same. See you tomorrow.
Mr. Jeremy Jahns.
You can find me at Jeremy Jahns on YouTube and the rest of the internet. My show Awesome-tacular is on Go90. You can we all just talk movies and
Movies are fun, and then
we throw
Star
pies
Wars,
in
huh?
faces.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
talk Star Wars also, and Mark Ellis is a joy. I've crashed on his red couch many times.
Absolutely. And you can find me at Ken Napzok or in Jeremy Johns' car heading up the highway, listening to some REO Speedwagon on a cassette. We're going to have a good time, man.
Cassette
We're gonna head-
tapes. There's no other way.
Actually, it's fun talking to you here.
It's fun talking
it's
to
fun.
you.
It's fun. I'm teasing you. You don't have a sick brain. I do
have a sick
I
brain,
just,
though.
the saw thing, it freaks me out just a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't want to look in your trunk. I don't know what's in there.
There might be a dead body or two. It's fine.
That I'm okay with.
You guys can
She's like,
find
yeah.
me not in jail and on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, Ashley Mova. Happy Wednesday, guys.
All right, that's it. Thanks to Cody and Jonathan behind the camera making us look pretty. We'll see you guys tomorrow on Movie Talk here on Collider Video.
Hey everybody, Mark Ellis here. Thanks for watching this episode of Collider Movie Talk. You want to watch more? Then click up here, or you can click right here for more great content from Collider. And if you haven't subscribed to Collider Video, do so right now and share this vid with your friends. Thanks for watching.